Hi everyone, this is Cam, and today is July 31st, I want to say. Well, okay, technically it's August 1st, but whatever, we'll call it July 31st. And so we're gonna go ahead with another video for today. By the way, I apologize for naming my channel Cam Talks. Just I forgot that cam is also can be short for camera, so when you search Cam Talks, you'll never find this. So to help fight that, all the videos in the series I'm going to rename gender ID and then followed by a number. And that's going to be an easier way to search for things, I think, from now on. And that also lets me put up things that aren't this. If I want to talk about things other than my gender and gender politics, I can do other things and just call them something else. So yeah, gender ID is what I'm going to call this series. Um, so today I wanted to talk about something I'm going to call comfort-discomfort dynamic that I experience a lot, and or rather for the past 5 weeks I've been experiencing. Um, and it's something that scares me a lot because it makes it really hard to know what I'm doing. And it makes me question Um, anytime I think about something, it makes me question it a lot. And it makes me question this whole concept of questioning my gender and thinking about it. Because in my previous two videos, I kind of expounded upon my feelings about femininity and masculinity, but I didn't really talk about dysphoria or anything like that. Or, yeah, I just kind of talked about my general academic feelings, I guess. So I want to talk about something called comfort-discomfort dynamic. And The the comfort aspect of that is something I kind of associate with just my walking around feeling about things and how that relates to femininity versus masculinity because since I started, since 5 weeks ago I've been looking at being more feminine and experiencing femininity. And I have a weird thing wherein when I walk around, just as me, I'll feel vaguely feminine or masculine just from hour to hour, and it will just be a seesaw that isn't particularly strong either way. But when I'm actively talking to other people in the trans community, or when I'm talking to people um, about makeup or about clothes, or just researching what transitioning, aspects of transitioning, or anything like that, or getting a job, or I will feel like a strong sense of femininity because I'll be thinking about femininity and it feels very comforting and it feels kind of exciting, because it's something that, I never felt hopeful about my body or hopeful about who I would become as a person on a social or physical level, I guess. I always just kind of tried to avoid my real life as much as possible. And so, but thinking about it in a feminine way, thinking about a feminine progression, both in terms of physicality, but also understanding it on a social level and being able to portray it on a social and physical level is comforting. And it feels good and it feels like I'm learning things and I have something to look forward to in my life, like finally. Um, there's a little bit of nervousness because I feel like I'm getting older. I'm in my mid to late 20s. I'm not. Um, you might guess my voice. I'm late teens, early 20s. I'm not. I'm definitely past puberty, so I'm not. This is as deep as my voice is probably gonna get, realistically speaking. Um, so I feel, yeah, like kind of this neutral to positive reinforcement of femininity when I think about it, when I think about clothing, when I think about transitioning, when I think about that kind of thing. Um, and then so that's interesting, and that plays into like my trying to feel out femininity versus masculinity, right? Um, and sometimes like in my daily life, I do feel masculine. Like I feel like if I'm getting mad, I'll feel more masculine, or if I feel like I'm carrying something heavy, I'll feel more masculine. And that's kind of a weird experience, to go from feeling masculine to feminine to masculine to feminine. Um, but generally speaking, there's like a positive feminine reinforcement going on. when I think about things, and that's good. It's good to experience. It feels nice. But then I have this discomfort dynamic that happens, and I don't know what's going on here. And that's like every so often, like not every day, just every so often. You know how I talked about how I identify with like masculine characters or masculine TV shows or masculine cultural things sometimes. I'll hear something like that, or I'll think about something like that, and I'll feel this sadness, this weird sadness and this stomach feeling of like regret and loss, that I'm moving away from that or that it's wrong. And it's such a weird phenomenon because like um I worry that there's like that's my body and my brain telling me that you're masculine, that you want to be masculine and that you're doing something wrong by trying to think about moving away from it because it feels really strong. It feels like somebody's like grabbing my stomach from behind and pulling me, like not around my hips, like inside my body, yanking backwards. It's a weird stomach churn. But at the same time, it's so weird for that to be opposed by like a general comfort and hopefulness and warmth when I think about feminine things. It's so weird because like dysphoria to my knowledge, is a dissatisfaction with um, your situation. And if you are like, I'm assigned masculine, so like my understanding is like dysphoria would be like, you know, um, a dysphoria with feeling masculine if I needed to transition to feminine, or something like that. So my understanding is dysphoria is a negative association associated with something that you don't like, that makes you feel bad, that hurts you, that is uncomfortable for you, that feels wrong. So, but this is not like that because like it's weird because I feel nice and warm and happy and hopeful when I think about femininity. And the only time I feel that sense of panic, I guess you could call it, is when I'm thinking about masculinity, you know? And so it's such a weird thing because you'd think if it was dysphoria, then I would have that sense of wrongness like when I think about feminine things because I'm assigned masculine. So like I don't know what's going on. It's really complicated. Um, and I do want to connect this to when I think I did feel genuine dysphoria a couple times. That day, 5 weeks ago. Not the day I decided to dress up and do things, but the day after that when I went shopping to try and buy feminine clothes. That's what happened that day. Right before Pride, which I think Pride was like the 21st or the 20th. So this was the day before that. The day before it was a Saturday because the parade that I went to was on a Sunday. Um, and when I went to the store, and I wanted to buy clothes and I felt really nervous. I didn't feel dysphoric. I felt really nervous and vaguely excited to be, but mostly just really nervous to be trying to buy feminine clothes in a store with people watching. Um, and then when I tried to put on feminine clothes and I looked in the mirror and I saw how broad my shoulders are and how narrow my hips are, um, and I couldn't close up the back because my shoulders were too broad, I felt so bad. It just felt like it felt really uncomfortable. I felt like you're not attractive, you're not pretty, you're not good enough. You can't actualize the things you want to do. Like, and it was intense. Um, and it felt really terrible. And it didn't feel like a feeling of foolishness. It felt deeper than that. It felt like it's really hard to describe, but it was like an overwhelming feeling of sadness. Um, and It was similar to, but different to this panic sensation I'm talking about because I didn't feel like a panicked, weird, like, oh, I gotta be masculine. No, it felt like an intense feeling of disappointment and, something like that. And I feel like that's much more what dysphoria feels like. Again, I don't know because I'm still feeling everything out. So I really don't know what to do with. And if somebody would do me a favor and either comment on this video or if we're Facebook friends, message me and tell me if what I experienced in that store was dysphoria, um, or not, because I don't know. I'm guessing it is. I don't know. So somebody help me out here. But so I don't know what to do with these three different sensations that I feel because they're kind of all over the place and I don't feel like they line up with things except for the dress thing. I feel like that might be dysphoria. I don't know. I certainly felt like it was at the time because it did make me feel like my body was wrong. I felt like because I put on the dress and it felt like really nice and smooth and I felt like my hair looked nice and I had all my hair off and I felt like I wanted to be pretty and then I looked in the mirror and I saw myself and I just felt like a monster, like disgusting. And I feel like that's probably what dysphoria is. If you know, please let me know. Um, but in either case, it's definitely different than what I feel with this panic feeling, you know? So I don't know what I'm doing, and the when the panic feeling happens is weird, and um, you know, when the warm feeling, when the affirmative feeling, which I'm assuming is what gender euphoria feels like, is an association with a sensation or an identity or a physicality, positive reinforcement. I assume that's euphoria. Again, if somebody has experienced euphoria and knows it's euphoria, please let me know, either in the comments or messaging me or whatever. Yeah, just give it a swing. I just anybody's base thoughts that knows more than me because I'm feeling things out and I have yet to like talk to a professional because I have yet to find one that's in my price range or near me. So yeah, I guess this was yeah, an interesting topic. And it's not the only time I felt like dysphoric, like when I tried on the dress. I felt like that other times. Um, like when I'll put on makeup and look at myself in the mirror and I feel pretty and I feel like it looks nice, and then I'll take a picture with my phone and it looks really bad because phone cameras are terrible or cameras in general don't capture like the way you see yourself and they add weird lighting and whatever. Also, especially like phone cameras that have flash. They add a lighting that picks up on textures that aren't actually there and turns the image into data, which is then reprocessed on different devices, so it can distort the image a little bit to make it look shittier than it actually is. But yeah, so I feel like I might be experiencing dysphoria at times, euphoria a lot of the times, and then this weird panic feeling that I don't know what's going on. And I don't know if that's like a normal thing people feel when they start questioning themselves and start feeling out associating things with other things. Like, I'm gradually kind of coming to associate a song I felt was masculine and all I could only experience as masculine with other feelings. And so I don't know if that panic sensation is just something people normally feel, like a fear of change, or if this is something deeper. Like this is my body giving me, you need to slow the hell down because you don't know what you're doing. Like it's a weird scenario, and I have no idea what I'm doing. Um, and this phenomenon was honestly part of the reason I wanted to start doing videos because I wanted to talk about this. And I feel like this couldn't have been my first or even second video. This needed to have some background to it. But hopefully I've given enough background where people can kind of understand it a little bit. Um, I will develop this further probably, but not now, just because I'm out of time and I'm going to try to gather my thoughts. By the way, all these videos are off the cuff. There's no script and I don't practice. I just press record and go. So